Get your pom-poms, get your tambourine. We have celebrating to do. And yes, you can thank a big part of it to Orange Man Bad. Mean tweets be damned. Lives have been saved. Let me explain. Happy day to all you members of Team Healthy Republic. For once, I can actually say that and believe it. We've had a roller coaster this week of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good.
We're coming on the air with breaking news from the Supreme Court at this hour. The justices handing down the highly anticipated ruling on abortion and the fate of the landmark Roe versus Wade decision. This is a majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito, very close to what was leaked several weeks back. The justice is saying we hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled.
Psychologists have a term called flashbulb memory, which is you remember where you are when something happened. The big deal, 9/11, Kennedy assassination. Today is the moment, right now, when we are going to learn the fate of constitutional abortion rights in America.
And political experts say the outcome could actually strengthen the acceptability of some religious practices in public schools. Here's what you need to know. This morning, in a 6-3 decision, the court's conservative majority ruled that high school football coach Joe Kennedy has a constitutional right to pray at the 50-yard line after games, along with his players and other students.
The U.S. Supreme Court has just issued a major ruling in the challenge to a New York gun law. Now, this is the most significant Second Amendment ruling in more than a decade. In a 6-3 decision, the court struck down New York's law, which places restrictions on concealed handguns. That law was enacted more than a century ago.
I see you, Supreme Court. You're out there making rulings and doing the thing you are assigned to do as stated in the Constitution, which is to follow the Constitution. So that gets us to today's question. What do these rulings mean for the country, and how will it affect the midterms? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and please share this video because you're about to see a lot of ugly, crying babies. Not those who won't now be aborted, but all those big ugly babies who don't know how the Constitution works. And I'm counting on you to let me know who is the ugly of the ugly in this. But first, let's get to the bad. The usual political response to Roe v. Wade.
There's no point in saying good morning, because it certainly is not one.
Someone's salty, and that's probably why she took it out on a little girl. Yes, Nancy Pelosi, who always says she does things for the children, clearly elbowed the daughter of incoming Representative Mayra Flores, and you can see it clearly in the slowed version, because Nancy is all about Nancy. And that's why when something goes against what she believes, she puts in her angry teeth.
This morning, the radical Supreme Court is eviscerating Americans' rights and endangering their health and safety. But the Congress will continue to act to overcome this extremism and protect the American people.
No, they won't. They won't touch it with a 50-foot pole. And it doesn't matter because you pass your little law and then it'll be challenged again at the Supreme Court. And guess what? It's still unconstitutional. It's a state's issue, not a federal issue. So all you in California will still get your abortions and life will go on, but not for thousands of babies in California.
Today, the Republican-controlled Supreme Court has achieved their dark, extreme goal of ripping away a woman's right to make their own reproductive health decisions. Because of Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, and the Republican Party, their supermajority in the Supreme Court, American women today have less freedom than their mothers.
Oh, really? It's all the men's fault, isn't it? Like those 7, 6 of whom were white, who decided Roe v. Wade in 1973. And ironically, one of the dissenters was a man named White. I've been told this is always a bad thing, having those white cisgender men without ovaries deciding what I should do with my body, even though we can't define woman, but details. But it's this current court, the most diverse court we've ever had, the one with 3 women, who is the worst court ever. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
It's the good advice that you just didn't take. And who would have thought it figures?
Oh, the good advice that you just didn't take. And it figured mightily. If Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG, the saint of the left, would have just retired and gone back to her bodybuilding when she was at the ripe old age of 82 at the tail end of Joe Biden's vice presidency, you know, the Obama presidency, then this wouldn't have happened. RBG has saved millions of lives, and we should celebrate. And also, thank Orange Man Bad as well, since he was able to get 3 Supreme Court justices who were smart enough to know that Roe v. Wade was a bad ruling and should never have been a federal decision. But doddering old Joe just doesn't get that.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans. But they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
But it's a great day for future life. And no, that right was never there in the first place, because in that logic, then slaveholding was a right because of the Dred Scott v. Sanford case of 1857, where people of African descent weren't included as American citizens. Do any of us actually believe that's truth? Of course not. It's pure evil and immoral. But Joe doesn't think logically, just emotionally.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
Clear as mud. With hyperbole like that, who needs his counterpart and her word salads? Which brings us to... Where in the world is Kama Lama Ding Dong? Kama Lama is flying high because, yes, she inhales, but also as she travels on Air Force Two, watching the decision come down from the court. Ding Dong is so relatable and empathetic, and so she tweeted out saying, I know there are women out there who are afraid. To those of you who feel alone and scared, I want you to know the president and I are fighting for you and your rights. We are in this fight together. Even the left blue checkmark saw through that line of BS and ripped her a new one on the Twitter, actually asking what the Biden administration was going to do. They are so dumb, and they are almost as dumb as what Ding Dong said about how men will be affected by the ruling that abortion is a state's issue, not a federal one. And then her wisdom she provided for parents of the boys who may become fathers as a result of the choice sex that they have.
And when we think about it, everyone has something at risk on this. First of all, if you are a parent of sons, do think about what this means for the life of your son and what that will mean in terms of the choices he will have.
Like the choice to be a father. Yes. Thank you for that wisdom. But let's pivot for a moment to other bad topics before we come back to the ugly. And trust me, it's really ugly, so make sure you stick around in the video. Let's remember that the gas bags who've been talking here are the same ones who last year tried to tell you that life was great because the average cost of a 4th of July cookout was 16 cents less than the previous year. Wow. And, well, I mean, 16 cents less last year. Well, what about this year? It's only 17% higher than last year. You're only paying about $10 more than last year. So I hope you held on to those 16 pennies from last year. But how much will it cost you to drive to that cookout? It's time to check in.
I am President of the United States of America, and the buck stops with me.
Well, the good news is the gas prices have gone down 9 cents from last week to $4.86 per gallon, but compared to last 4th of July, it's still $1.76 more than last year when it was $3.10 per gallon. Somehow I'm guessing the White House won't be bragging about the costs this year. Anyway, Joe's too busy meeting his hero, Santa Claus. To the rest of us, that's Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But Joe doesn't know that, and as you can see, Joe's asking for a new bike since he had an incident last week with his. But hold tight. Before that handshake, we have some breaking news. Joe arrived in Munich for the 48th G7 summit and promptly was confused as to what was happening.
Breaking news from over in Munich. We are seeing President Biden arrive for his first trip to Germany as president. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden is also traveling with him. Now, during this trip, President Biden will be participating in his second G7 summit, where the war in Ukraine and economic issues are expected to be at the forefront.
What is he doing? He doesn't know. Side note, what the heck is with the sloppy look on all of the leaders of the group of 7? They're all ready to have a cocktail and sit out on the lanai in true beta male fashion. But next year, Justin Trudeau will lead the way in his pajamas. And I'm not even joking. The group might as well go that casual with how unproductive they were at this year's meetings. Anyway, we need to get to the ugly, even though we clearly have already begun. But there was plenty of ugly this week with the announcement of the Dobbs-Jackson Women's Health Organization case, and nowhere better to start than the drama queen herself, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who ratcheted up the rhetoric with her claims about members of the Supreme Court.
There must be consequences for such a deeply destabilizing action and hostile takeover of our democratic institutions. To allow that to stand is to allow it to happen. And what makes it particularly dangerous is that it sends a blaring signal to all future nominees that they can now lie to duly elected members of the United States Senate in order to secure Supreme Court confirmations and seats on the Supreme Court. This is what we're saying.
Do you think lying at a confirmation hearing is an impeachable offense?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. I believe lying under oath is an impeachable offense.
Oh, you do? Like the latest Supreme Court Justice nomination hearing when the nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson claimed she didn't know what a woman is?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Cool beans. But now that Roe v. Wade was overturned, did you see how quickly everyone is back to saying women's rights and not birthing people's rights? It's fun to watch. Almost as fun as watching the ladies on The View melt down, especially Karen Elaine Johnson, who goes by the name of Whoopi because she's fake and has to exert fake outrage.
Well, we were not even people
he is
in
saying
the Constitution.
Nothing is precedent
and
anymore.
Well, you better hope that they don't come for you, Clarence, and say you should not be married to your wife who happens to be white. Because they will move that. And you better hope that nobody says, you know, well, you're not in the Constitution, you're back to being a quarter of a person. Because that's not going to work either.
Anyway, while Whoopi speaks to the 5 people who watch The View, Anna Kasparian speaks for the rest of the far left. As a host of The Young Turks, she is able to spout to the fellow cheers of Satan's spawns.
I don't believe in Christianity, which means that you do not get to dictate the way I live my life based on your religion. I don't care what the Bible says. You have every right in the world. All those women who identify with your religion have every right in the world to not get an abortion, to not take birth control, but they do not have the right to dictate my life and what I decide to do with my body. I don't care about your religion. I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says. You live your life in the way that you interpret the Bible. Again, I don't care, but you don't get to take the Bible and tell me, well, the Bible says this in this chapter in this verse. I don't care. I don't care. I don't believe in it. And I have the right, based on our Constitution, to not believe in it.
So does she care, or... It is a good thing she lives in America where she doesn't have to believe in the Bible, but as she said, based on the Constitution, which is exactly what the Supreme Court just did. We've come full circle now, and there is still so much more that could be said. That's why if you'd be so kind to share this video, we can keep the conversation going, and we can keep giving our F's. Faith, family, and friends. Go out there and celebrate life. Until next time, stay healthy, America.